The internet, the broadband is the new broadband that was switched on today. And it generally appears to be working better than usual. I don't know what that would be causing a problem.
Even downstairs in the little room, which is normally
Yeah. I can't explain it. I'll have a look at it if you want. I can't do much right now. You got a hard copy.
You were looking for clarifications on that photo?
don't dare us, don't you dare me. Now that was
Yeah.
and we had that pinned into the door. Just done it because of David. The shirt went to the door.
Don't mess with Carol. Yeah? I've got that on video. So I'll get my edited out.
We'll laugh at it a few times in the morning.
I do, well, yeah, well, it's not as good as Jack. You don't remember Jack? I found that a couple of years ago.
I was before it.
And it got short.
Yes, right up and down the hill.
He said he'd get a cookie.
Oh, yeah.
One of the funniest things I've ever heard in a career. Well, no, that wasn't funny. It was just embarrassing.
I would be pleased to have his book.
Poke yourself in the other eye. Very well, I guess it's from me.
I'll try it and then we go.
First, I'll get it done.
Oh, he's done the one further first. You went up the one.
I am.
Just thinking about what I've just been in the office and
I don't even know what he's talking about.
He's run out of curries just to see what people wear the curries, because obviously you don't have any of them out in the secret area. It's not like it's not going to be more tell you that he doesn't really need.
I think it was last time.
He's going to keep it around. I've got a step ladder like that, she's actually doing so. We've got a new three-piece suite, a new carpets, a new someone else, and then got 2 kittens the next day. I was like, so you bought some kittens to rip up the new stuff that we've got. Oh, some kittens, and got cute. That's all.
Amazing. Right, it's the
Now it's on the camera, so you can blackmail us if you want, because obviously we'll have to say, yeah, that's a good idea, thanks,
It's brother getting fierce.
Oh, you don't speak on
From
the
Van Pierce, just like.
It's the sofa rig.
Couldn't see the sofa in the
10 seconds, 10 seconds, get ready.
What's with Paris, we met
Yeah,
about that
not
number of
just
times.
you, but
Right.
just come
Thanks
straight.
for going over there,
Yeah.
Paris, just swing back up again.
Right, I'd just like to welcome everyone along this evening to the ordinary town meeting of Stanley Town Council on this Tuesday, the 21st of January. This is the first meeting since the new year, so I'd like to wish everybody a happy new year. Before we move on to the agenda, I think I would like it if everybody would join with me and stand in for a minute's silence for Ron Hogg, our PCVC who sadly passed away in December, as a mark of respect. Thank you, everybody. Please be seated. We'll move straight on to the agenda. Item number 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've received apologies from Councillor Helen Clark, Councillor Carl Marshall, also Councillors Marn Wilkinson, Joyce Clark and Christy are not present.
Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is declaration. Oh, sorry.
Can I give apologies to George Robinson? I'm not 100% sure, but he's obviously something's not well because he messaged us and said, sorry, Joe, not well, but I don't know what not well. Do you know what I mean?
Councillor, happy to accept those apologies?
Yeah.
Item number 2 is declarations of interest. Any members got any declarations of interest for anything that's on the agenda tonight? No? Thank you. Move on to item 3, which is mayor's announcements. Since our last meeting, which was the 26th of November, I've been quite busy, so I'll go through my list of what I've been doing. 30th of November, I attended a fundraising event at Shildon Civic Hall. On the 4th of December, funding photographs at Tantloby Cricket Club, Tanfield Club, Beamish Stripes down at Greenland School, and Greencroft and Anfield Plain Ladies Club. On the 7th, I was at Oxhill. I was asked to attend Oxhill Youth Club to the SKK Tiger Clubs, which is a karate club, and I went along in the morning to watch the little tots doing karate, and when they found out Packed House was my chosen charity, they'd done a food collection, so they donated loads of food to Packed House, which I appreciate. Later on that day was the Stanley Lights turn on, and I'm sure everybody enjoyed themselves. And then after the lights turn on, I had to go down to the Den at Tanfield to do the Young People's Awards. On the 8th of December was the Mayor's Carol service, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I've had some lovely compliments about it, so well done to everybody who helped make the day happen. to the people, to the band and to the choir, and to Packed House for the food. On the 9th, I attended Southmore Bowls, and then later on Stanley Stars here at Civic Hall, presenting cheques. On the 10th of December, I attended the Craft and Chat at St Stephen's, where I presented them with a cheque, and later on down at St Joseph's School, and they received a cheque. On the 11th of December, I was at Beamish Sports Club and they were taking photographs of the work that they had done with the money they had received for funding. And on the evening, I was at Packed House with the police doing Young Heroes Awards. On the 14th of December, I opened the new Straight 8 charity shop on Stanley Front Street. On the 17th of December, I attended Whiteley Head Methodist Church coffee morning and presented their cheque to them. And on the evening, I was at the Empire Club and presenting the Anfield Plain DLI with their cheque. On the 18th of December, I attended Shield Row Primary School and presented them with their cheque. So I've had a busy time and thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's all my announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Short list. Just usual announcements. As usual, we are recording the meeting this evening. And would you please just ensure that your mobile phones are set to silent or switched off? Thank you.
Brings us on to item 4, which is the leader's report. Councillor Turnbull.
Seems a long time since we had the last full council meeting, so Merry Christmas and it's in the new year, and let's move on. Following the mayor, I think the 2 Christmas events that were had, the carol service and the light switch on, were both well attended and a good success. For me, there was 2 highlights on them. One was seeing all them little kids' faces in the front of the light switch on, and the other highlight was seeing Carol dancing on stage. So, and I would like to thank all the staff that worked both those events, because they did put a lot of hard work in on the event and in the run up to organising. So if that can be passed on to the staff. This meeting, the main agenda item is the budget proposal. It's a 2.99% increase, which is £98.05 across band D. Property. This is basically a standstill budget, as inflation is currently running at 2.7%. The financial institutions are expecting further inflation rises post-Brexit, so it is basically a standstill budget. But this budget is focused on the regeneration of Stanley Town Council area, and we are keeping the free events and the heritage events, so they include the Play in the Park minus Sunday. So I think that's a plus for this council, to give the people of Stanley those free events. We're also still funding the advice and support services, namely shared Packed House citizens advice for the people of Stanley who need that advice. So we'll continue to focus on helping our electorate. Also, regarding the council tax, we work alongside DCC on the council tax reduction scheme. This is one of 36. It's the only council tax reduction scheme in the North East. We continue the current council tax reduction scheme for 2021 and retain the same level of support from DCC. DCC pass back to any town or parish council the monies that this tax reduction scheme, and that's payable back to the council, and it is estimated from DCC to be 1.3 million that it will save in the council tax reduction scheme. And I think that's working with DCC, and I think it's really helpful to the people who are suffering financial hardship at this present time. Some general updates. Everybody's probably realised the Civic Hall broadband and telephone systems were installed today and all working satisfactory. I think that's the, yeah, touch wood and everything else that goes with it. Some general updates regarding the Civic Hall, and I would like to thank the Civic Hall Working Group for all the hard work and that's getting to this, and that's the refurbishment of the Civic. Some dates for you all. The toilet refurbishment of the Civic Hall will commence mid-March. The works experienced to last approximately 3 weeks. So, in the decorating, the decor, which has been approved by the Dementia Friendly Communities Coordinator, commences in February. So, the dementia people are very happy and satisfied with the decor that the staff's chosen. It's been a staff initiative to what the colours are, and I'm sure it will look amazing when it is finally done. At the last full council meeting, I stated in my leader's report that myself and Councillor Stevenson would bring back the report from the NALC conference that we attended. That's in Appendix N of these papers. I'm not going to go through it all literally because everybody's had sight of them, and there is links to various things that we did, but even from the short period of time since we've had it, were brought back from them, there was a gap in our cyber security policy which we have amended to fit for purpose because there was a gap there. We've adjusted the risk register on the back of the gap in the cyber security. So it was a very worthwhile conference. So myself and Jeanette will take questions if anybody's got any questions regarding now or in a one-to-one situation. We'll ask many questions, take questions. Regarding the Star Council Awards, it was a learning curve, should we say, Jeanette? Of how the winners got the award. And I would like to move a motion on the back of that we submit an application based on myself and Jeanette's findings of how other people put their application in for this next year. So I'd like the council to know, this council to approve that motion that we submit an application for the Star Council Awards. Okay.
Well, technically we haven't enough notice of the motion to put it on the agenda for people to pass it, but we can certainly, if the council agrees that it wants to sort of not shaking of heads, it would like to put it as Star Council submission, I think we'll put it forward to February for a promotion. Is everyone happy with that?
There's presentations there, access to them. If anybody wants to sit down and go through them, so that there's more context and understanding around those presentations, then obviously we both went to different sessions. We're more than happy to do that. Or if any, if the council themselves decided there was a particular issue, for example, one of the major things that was launched was the NALC sort of support for loneliness. Which is a really significant issue and is something at county level that's being looked at, and it's for both county councils and for town councils to work together on that sort of big agenda item around older people, social isolation, loneliness, the links to health basically through loneliness. Then we're more than happy to have a good chat with anyone that's interested.
Thank you. Anyone else got anything they want to say? Comments? No? Thank you very much for that. We move on to item 5, public participation. No, and there's no questions. Item 6, is confirmation of the minutes. To approve as a correct record, do you want to take them similarly?
Yes, obviously.
The council meeting held on the 26th of November 2019, which is attachment A.
I propose we accept them.
Thank you, Alex.
Second.
And Alex is second.
Bala wasn't at the meeting.
I'll second them.
Jeanette seconded.
Yeah. Right, happy to approve those?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just initial, first.
Just an issue first, yeah. Applications issue.
Initial.
Yeah.
Is that one?
Yeah, sign that page, yeah. And that's the 21st. Obviously, we also had the extraordinary meeting on the same date in
Yes.
November.
Oh, sorry. Come on, goodness, through this.
Which is just to approve the strategic grant agreements.
Yeah, move that we accept them with a true record, Chair.
And seconder?
I'll send that.
James.
Sign that.
So that was A1, A2.
Name two.
Item 7 is the committee minutes, attachment B.
You can see that, I think, over check that,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, so, I just, propose that we receive them, please.
Rowan second.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
On to item 8, which is the accounts for payment and bank reconciliation.
Thank you. Obviously, this would normally go to finance, but we didn't have a scheduled finance meeting in January, so it is the usual schedules of payments and receipts, with a summary expenditure detail and the bank reconciliation to prove that these statements reconcile to the expenditure on the reports. Questions on those?
Has anybody got any questions?
Okay, if nobody's got any questions, Chair, I'll, move that we be accepting, please.
You?
I'll second them.
Alex is second.
So we are moving the recommendation on the report, which is to approve the payments and loan the bank reconciliation.
Yeah.
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 Move on to item 9, the policy working group.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. There are 2 items to be considered by council on from the policy working group. The first one is the revisions to the risk register. Councillor Timby mentioned that we've, in both the budget and the risk register, there is a new consideration given to the cyber security, which is something where there was, when we explored it, there was a gap between what our municipal insurance from Zurich provided and what our cloud backup. There's a little bit in between where if there's a breach of data, Zurich will pay out. If there's if our system gets wiped out, then we've got a cloud backup. It's what happens in between. It's if we get a DDoS attack, it's if our systems are compromised, we need to get them mended and fixed. That's the gap which we sort of plugged. The other main purpose of revising the risk register was to increase the granularity. When we looked at the review last year, we had the training from the guy who came and spoke to members and staff. We improved our risk register by adding scoring, replacing the high, medium, low category, so we could actually plot it onto a graph. But we had a 3x3 graph, so we only had high risk, low risk in the middle, whereas with the additional 2 columns, which enable you to tweak those the assessments better, you can actually then start to prioritise what your risks are and which need addressing. That's the work that Alan did and that the policy working group has reviewed, and that's what's presented to council this evening for your comments, observations and hopefully your approval. The second item is the members' allowance scheme. There is an independent remuneration panel which meets from time to time, it's only met once in the last 10 years, to consider remuneration for local councils. And obviously there is a report attached to your council papers which demonstrate what the findings were. So these are the allowances which are payable to members of local councils. The group looked at the report and made the recommendation that the standing allowances are not implemented. However, felt that it would be appropriate that if elected members are required to travel outside the parish while undertaking official council business, and it's not possible to car share with an officer, the members should be entitled to claim reimbursement for mileage at the rate detailed in the report. So that's the recommendation. I have had it pointed out to me by Councillor Timby actually, since I've published or circulated the papers, that it did go a little bit further than that, so that if more than one elected member were going to the same place, they should also car share. I think that was about the size of it, wasn't it, Councillor Timby? And obviously that's just in general terms. Obviously the town mayor has allowed to claim expenses back if they need to in the pursuits of their office against a specific budget which is already set out. So that's over for members to discuss.
Anyone got any comments?
And just regarding the town mayor's budget, there's 2 pots if I'm correct. Can you? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, explain what each one is.
Yep, of course. Essentially, in your attachment M, which I'm going to refer to, but feel free to or not, in the democracy budget or cost centre, we have a number of budgets which are there to support democratic functions. There's a 4803, which is the Chairman's Fund. Actually, should be renamed Town Mayor's Fund, but that budget is basically exists to support the expenses of holding the office associated with Town Mayor. So any reasonable expenses which are incurred by the office holder in pursuance of their office. And the second one is the Chairman's Awards, which is 4805, which is a budget which is held to obviously deliver the Chairman's Award each year. It used to be one budget of which we used to pay the Chairman's Awards out of. Council decided, I'm not sure if it was last year, I think it was the year before, to split those 2 budgets so that it was clear budget for the event and a clear budget for the member. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
Mark?
Thanks, Chair. Just trying to get this in the right place. Just wanted to just add something on to what Alan was talking about around the risk register, really. Because if everybody remembers back to the December finance meeting, there was a few questions about some staffing matters, and we added in S4, which is the bottom one on staffing, about managing the times and using the policies correctly and that type of thing. We added that one in, and then we also added in one under members, which is C5, about sort of an ongoing training plan to make sure that all members are trained. We did get that when we first started, just to make sure that it's sort of in the plan for the next cycle, if you know what I mean. So those were the 2 things that I recall that we added. There weren't very high risks in the score, there just needed to be something that was in the paper. So with that, just move that we adopt the risk register and adopt the 2 policies, please, with that change that was outlined by Alan, with the members' car sharing if possible as well, please.
In respect of the car sharing, I think we could actually produce a detailed note which actually says what the decision is, and obviously if any member feels that we've got it wrong, then they can obviously come back and tell us at the next meeting, but I think we can get it right.
Thank you.
Second Mark motion.
Thank you. Everybody in agreement? Moves us on to item 10. Events.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is hopefully a fairly simple task of, rather than reporting all of the events that we're planning for the sort of remainder of the year in dribs and drabs and getting the agreement piecemeal, if members are happy to agree the entire programme now, then it makes it easier for us to just get ahead and plan them and publicise the dates to the general public. So the dates which have been put forward are 6th of May for Town Mayor, well, all the rest you can see, Armed Forces Day in the usual weekend in June. Playing the Parks events, we've got options there because we want to have a discussion with Scott about what works best, but it's in the summer holidays. Louisa Morrison doesn't move, obviously, it's the same day every year, minus Sunday. We've confirmed that that's going to be the Bank Holiday Sunday. Blooming Fun Date, fireworks event, we need to check with Stanley Events that that's the weekend they are going to do it, but it seems likely. Armistice event and the Light Switch On event and the West Ham Memorial, obviously, again, doesn't move. So what we're seeking is for members just to approve that programme of events, and then we can just crack on and get them done.
Les?
We'll approve them, I can't see any problems with it, and keeping that within the budget as well.
I'll second it.
Everybody agree? Happy with that? Right.
And when do we decide on the dates for the various modes for the parks?
For the next couple of months, I'll look.
Well, yeah, basically, once we've had the next meeting with Scott,
I would again reiterate that a Wednesday is better for Anfield Plain, not a Saturday. It was mentioned at the last time, it was ignored. We would have a better turnout if it was on a Wednesday. We always did.
okay, well obviously we've proposed a Saturday in this list, so would you like to make a motion?
I would like it on a Saturday. It's not the first time I've asked.
Wednesday.
A Wednesday, not a Saturday, a Wednesday.
Can I say, I suggest this goes back to the committee that deals with the events in that case. I don't think we need to take a motion here. I would like to be quite sure that that's the wishes of the people in Anfield Plain before we took a decision on that. The Saturdays were the prime ones. I'm surprised that we were suggesting that it comes away from a Saturday. But let the events committee look at it and review it.
It has always been better before this council did it. The previous council did it on a Wednesday, and it was absolutely fabulous. And I was at the last one. It was good, but not that good. The numbers just weren't there.
Councillor Stevenson?
Can I just say that, I was there at the event on the Saturday and it was absolutely fabulous. I was there. I know. I can't make a comparison because I've never been before, but I would be really loath to make a decision today about changing something without, nobody at any point has ever said to me, that was bad. No, I'm not talking about Christine, I'm on about people. The people that approached me after the event were absolutely cock-a-hoop about it. They said it was brilliant. So I wouldn't want to change it without being absolutely sure that people. But I can assure you, so the council, I want some sort of discussion with people themselves. And so that's why I think it's a good idea just to give it to the events.
I just for sort of comment observation, when we first did the play in the parks, we had more events, as members will recall. We had a longer spread across the year because we had them starting in the Easter half term and going on till sort of September time. And the first year that we ran them, we had 2 events at Oakies and 2 events at Anfield Plain Park. And they were considered the 2 main parks, sort of in inverted commas. And the reason when the number of overall events was reduced that those 2 were kept on the Saturday was because they were considered to be the main events. So, you know, it's obviously it's council's decision, but it was. I'm not aware that I didn't go to Anfield Plain last year because I wasn't working that weekend. I went to the one at Oakies on a Saturday, and it was rammed all day. So it really is down to members to decide.
Can I just ask, Alan, do we make any sort of statistics, you know, of attendance, or does Alan Hilary do that?
I don't think we've got like people with a clicker or not. I mean, we have people at all the events.
Yeah.
And the attendances were pretty good throughout the summer, really. They're pretty strong. All the events were pretty strongly attended.
Councillor Marshall?
Excuse me for not getting up, my hips playing up today. But I think it's reasonable to defer it as per my motion, and I think that there's been ample opportunity to talk about this. People have known since that event was on, that there may be a problem. It's never been raised, and then here we are at the 11th hour, suggesting changes. I think it should go to the working group, let them look at it, and come back and see what they find out. So that's my motion.
I agree with Councillor Marshall.
It's very accepted.
Jesus, you agree with me?
So can I suggest that in respect of Councillor Marshall's motion, which only relates to the Play in the Park events, that we agree the programme of events, and we agree the dates of all the other events apart from the Play in the Park, which we looked at again by the working group?
That's my motion.
Yeah?
I don't mind the changes. So what it based on information.
That's what we do.
Item number 11, the Civic Hall. Attachment
First time, Councillor.
pantomime, first item.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. The council has seen the proposal put forward by Silbury Civil Productions, and obviously asked some further questions for further information. And since that time, there has been a meeting held with the producer by members of the Civic Hall Working Group, and a further proposal put forward, and some further analysis was done for the Finance Committee, which was attached to the papers for that meeting and attached to the papers for this meeting, to look into what the fuller picture would be, not just in taking into account the producer's estimates, but also what our own staffing costs would be, what our own bar income, etc. would be like. Having reviewed that additional information, the recommendation that was put forward by the Finance Committee last week was that the Council should proceed with the pantomime proposal, and that we should prepare a contract with the provider on the basis put forward in the proposal, with the addition of a clause to permit the Council to renew for a further year should the pantomime be successful. I can report that since last week's Finance meeting, in anticipation of this evening, I have had a meeting with both the producer of the pantomime to inform him of what Council's recommendation last week was, and also with Creo Communications. The meeting with Creo was already arranged, and I just got Reece to come in and take part in the conversation. And so we have discussed a marketing plan for pantomime, which could be put into place straight away if Council approves this recommendation. Also begun to put up clauses that would need to go into the contract, because they're all in the report. Obviously, if Council approves this, then a contract needs to come back in February's meeting to be signed off by the Council. So I've started doing those pieces of work. That's it in respect of item 1. I'll sit down.
All for comments?
Yeah.
Anyone got any comments? John?
I think the pantomime is a great thing, absolutely fantastic thing. Go to them every year and have done for years and years and years. I do have a little bit of concern. You know, the cost is quite large, and the risks of you know, and if the world is in a very different place, and we're all fully aware that maybe, and you know, it's all of those things. And yes, I think the pantomime is a good thing, but I do have a reservation. And it's just, you know, I've already got mine booked up. Most people will book from year to year. I've spoken to some people in Gateshead, and a lot of the schools in Gateshead have already booked up theirs. So I don't know. I'm struggling to. But I do think the pantomime is a great idea.
Anyone else for any comments? We take a vote then.
So, it's all right with you, Madam Mayor. I'll just move that we agree the proposal to proceed with the pantomime. We get on with doing the marketing, and we make it as successful as possible, and then we'll find out. The only way we're ever going to find out if it's going to work or not is to do it. Other than that, we're going to be seeing in a year's time. Might be a good idea to do a pantomime, but we don't really know. So let's have a go, get it done, and then as long as we can get enough people in the door, then obviously it'll be a success. So that's down to all of us to get people to come, including grumpy old what's-its like me.
I'll second that.
Well, but I'm going to be a what's-it.
Are you seconding the councillor Davis in his
That'll be important first.
I think he's right.
Lots of the summer wine, I'm not.
Councillor Stevenson.
I would like to second that by saying we do have a situation that's quite unique this year as well, and that is that our nearest place of a concert is actually going to be closed for refurbishment. So it gives us a unique position in regards to the fact that we are the only pantomime in the area, because they won't be open. So I think at all times this is the right time to give it a go and try and attract an audience in. So second that motion.
Councillor Beggs already seconded it, so you can't.
He was just agreeing that
third
he's
it.
right.
So we just put it to a show of hands, this is any right. Agreed?
Agreed. Item 2 on there is cinema performance.
Thank you once again, Madam Mayor. There's a report that's been provided for members, information which details all of the different films that have been put on in the cinema since it was installed. And you will see from the report that some of them sold strongly, some of them sold less strongly, and there's a few that didn't sell any at all. But obviously what that comes with is a lot of information about the sort of things that our residents actually want to come and see, and the sort of things that perhaps they don't necessarily want to come and see. And you can see that we made a very small profit overall, which is great, because it means that we've had the opportunity to use the cinema to experiment a little bit with what sort of programme we put on. And actually, even though we've drawn a few blanks and the films that the residents didn't want to come and see, we've still not lost any money on the enterprise, which is good, a good indicator for future success, hopefully. The recommendation that I have made in respect of this is that officers should be allowed to prepare a programme for 2020, having regard to the data about what's proven successful in 2019, and to consult with the Civic Working Group in the preparation of that, development of that plan. Obviously, we're only now 3 weeks away from the next half term, so we need to get posters up as soon as possible for films to entertain the children in that group. So,
Over to members, comments? Yes.
I think when we started this, we said it would be a trial period, there'll be lessons learned, and I think there is lessons being learned from what doesn't work, what does work, and staff that's put a lot of hard work and determination into getting this off. And we said at the very beginning, we weren't in it to make money. If we made money, that's a bonus, as long as we didn't lose it, which we haven't, clearly. So I would like to move forward by saying that we'll continue to have the cinema and let the staff manage it. but there is a proviso that we've got one member of staff on a secondment which is due to come to an end very shortly. So on the basis of that, I would propose that if we keep this and grow it and deliver a better service, that we create a post with a new job title and get it through job evaluation before the secondment ends, because potentially we don't want to give somebody another 6 months secondment when we could be giving them a permanent contract. And on the basis of that, if it's agreeable, that the advertisement would be for internal candidates first, because I think we should give the internal staff that opportunity to apply for that job, and that's what I'm proposing.
That was a proposal by councillor Timby.
Second that.
Seconded by seconded. Anybody want any clarification? No? Everybody quite happy?
Yeah.
Can I have a show of hands? Thank you.
Just check it, you're seconding yourself.
Right, we move on to item 12, council actions update, which is attachment K.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This, when I went to review this, because it had been a while since we had a full council meeting, I was quite pleased to see that we actually managed to get some of the things done. So, starting from the top, the strategic grant fund second round has been done, and obviously Councillor Hampson fed back with a lot of that work at the start of the meeting. This road safety advisor is still outstanding. We need to resolve that one way or the other in the next few months if we can. In respect of the County Durham Community Fund, I know that Alan Tubman is arranging a meeting for Michelle Cooper to come and speak to councillors about that in the near future. It won't be on the back of a full council meeting. We'll make a separate date for it, invite you all to come along. But it'll be a chance to get feedback from them, to ask questions, and obviously get your input into how we think it's going forward. So that won't be a formal council meeting. It'll be a meeting of all councillors and them. The Blooming Good Fun Awards have been done, obviously, since last time. In respect of the developing a focus programme, community events and comms plan, we produced a kind of comms plan last year to go through all the events that we're putting on to manage what we were doing in terms of publicise and promote things. I've had a meeting with Career Communications last week, and we are going to basically be updating that, bringing proposals for how we're going to do it, together with a proposal about how we do this community consultation, which members talked about wanting to do. So there'll basically be, on February's full council meeting, there'll be a comms plan for the year, community consultation plan, or how we think we should do it, obviously subject to your feedback, and marketing plan for the pantomime, all basically presented at the same time. We'll get really through Career to come and talk through those to you all. The action here for pantomime, which has been shown as outstanding for me, we've just knocked off now, so I can get rid of that one, thank goodness. And replace it with the other one about delivering the pantomime. The 2019 events programme has been done, and obviously we've discussed about developing the 2021 this evening. The works for Civic Hall stuff still showing orange, but as Councillor Timby advised at the top of the meeting, we've got painters, decorators, carpet contractors, toilet refurbishment contractors all booked in, and those works will be happening in the next couple of months, so there'll be changes going there. The policy working group is ongoing. The local council awards scheme, we just got the last few dots, I's to dot, say me, I've got the last few bits to do for that before Nicola can put the submission in, and we're nearly there with that. The budget first draft has been provided, and we're here hopefully to approve final budget today. The IT and telephone upgrade, the phones were actually switched on today. I know it seems like a long time, but it really, honestly, has not been our fault. I know that Alan Tubman's been trying every week to get the date, and it's happened finally. The new phones were switched on today, so when you phone the town council in the future, you will be presented with a very well-spoken young lady who's none of us, asking you if you want to speak to anyone about benefits or council tax, to press number 1, you'll be transferred to Durham County Council. It's only taken us 5 years, but there it is. And the new internet line is on. You won't notice the full power of the internet because we've not replaced the access point yet. It only went on today.
Oh, no.
Okay. I did say you won't notice the full power of it
Can I just
today.
say, I think I'm being penalised. Somebody pick a number.
In respect of the other outstanding actions, the other ones were green. The only one that was showing as orange was the Southmore Miners banner case, and Alan Tubman could give you an update on that. But basically, we had the chap from Help for Heroes, who Alan met with and was willing to do the work for free and come and work with us. He's coming this week to measure up and start drawing up the plans for that.
Yeah.
Obviously in conjunct connection with James, who's arranging for Alan to not mess up his new wallpaper that he's getting put on the landing. So those two are sorting that out together, but there is development there. And that's that. Questions?
Has anyone got any questions on that?
I'm not going to. Well, you can't because you can't see it, can you? Lost the file. I've got a pretty pussy back there. It's your Christine's, it's a state.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just agree to note the report.
Right. Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what line to line, so it wasn't really anything to.
And that brings us on to item 13, which is the 2020-21 budget, 4th estimate, draft of budget, attachment L. And I take M as well at the same time?
I'll just go for
L at the
L,
minute.
and we'll refer to M
Right.
when we get there. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hopefully members have all had the opportunity to read this report. It was circulated to everyone in advance of the finance meeting last week, with very, very few differences to the format that you see it now. I think it really is just the heads and footers that have changed. As you know, after the first and second estimates, with the changes which members have put forward in terms of the salaries budget, we were looking at reaching a deficit of about £13,000 to balance the budget. Subsequently to that, big changes since the last review of the budget back in December. We've had some additional budget. Oh, hell, I just have to go through it. So we increased the salaries provision after the second estimate because to take account of a potential 5% increase, although we don't know what it will be because we don't have the answer to that. There was some discussion about the cost of the environmental awards and why those had increased on the previous year, and there is some detail in the report which explains that the difference is fundamentally down to the fact that those posts at DCC level were regraded and they've been moved on to a higher band of salary, and we've reproduced what the pay scales are and also what the actual cost estimates are for the coming year. And you know, just to stress that DCC recharge us the actual amounts plus a flat fee for overheads, and they've actually reduced that fee for overheads by £1,500 from last year to take to reflect the fact that the salaries have gone up, although it's out of their control, the salaries going up. There was no change on what was put forward in the previous estimates on the environmental caretakers. We did obviously agree to create budgets in there for training and moving good fund to go forward the next year. There were some changes submitted by the Labour Group in respect of the members' IT. I put forward a proposal that the members' IT should be refreshed 50% in one year and 50% in the next. The Labour Group said we don't need to do that, to do it 25% a year, so it's done over a 4-year programme. So that's reduced that provision. The Christmas lighting, the last estimate that I put forward for council was just included a cost to maintain the existing displays, which is the trees that are permanently illuminated around the place, and also to buy a new tree for the front street. The members, or Labour members, asked for some estimates to bring back the braid column wraps, and the proposal that came from finance was to actually put 50% of the, so there's about 100 commando boxes and 100 lamp columns around the patch, and it was basically to provide a budget to illuminate half of those, and for the half that could be illuminated to be the ones that are in the villages rather than the centre, because we've got a lot of concentration in the centre. So really that's for officers to bring back a proposal about where we're going to illuminate them for next year to be signed off by council, and then we can get the testing done and the RAPS tested, etc. Councillor Timmy mentioned that there's a paragraph on inflationary pressures. Overall this year we're running about 2.2%. However, we are obviously in 10 days' time going to be exiting the EU, and there's all the talk is that there's expected to be some inflationary pressures coming in across the piece. After that, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with the situation in the Middle East. With fuel prices could skyrocket. So it's a lot of uncertainty. Certainly a 2.9% allowance to take account of inflation doesn't seem out of the ballpark at all. With respect to the Civic Hall, we've obviously dealt with the pantomime this evening. We've discussed the Civic Hall improvements. Paragraph 14 on page 8 just simply refers to our ongoing contractual improvements, with the budget commitment for the wardens revised down slightly to reflect that discussion that's taken place. On page 9, I gave a summary budget detail to show changes from the first to the second estimate, and then just the headlines in terms of the budget. And on the following page, I've done the same exercise between the last estimate and this fourth and final estimate, which shows on page 11, you can see the total shows that we've actually closed that 13,000 gap by applying the increase to the precept, taking into account all of those other changes which were requested by the Labour Group. So the conclusion in the report is that to incorporate the changes in budget which have been put forward by the Finance meeting in December and have been put forward subsequently, and balance the budget estimate, 2.99% of the basic precept was applied to produce the fourth budget estimate, which is attachment M of item 13, line by line. So that equates to a precept of £7,777.789, which is when added to the LCTRS grant of £103,150, gives a total payment of £880,939 for the year. Members are requested to approve the budget as presented, or with such amendments as they feel are desirable, to set the level of precept required, and to authorise the Town Mayor to sign the precept demand on behalf of the Council.
Comments?
Before we go into any sort of discussion, I want to put a motion for a new vote for this tonight, please, so we are open and transparent to the constituents.
I'll second that.
No, just for procedurally, no motion is required. Any member can ask for a named vote, and it doesn't need to be seconded or voted on.
Second.
So named vote.
Can I have a show of hands?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, did anybody got any comments, discussion? Sorry? Yes?
Motion.
No.
For me, I think we had this last week. We had a little bit of discussion around it. It's been go backwards and forwards like it's been ping-pong for, I don't know, 4 months now. So I think that everybody's had a chance to have their say. We should just agree the budget for next year. We should move on and get it implemented. So I propose that we agree the budget. Please, is there anything else I need to propose?
Authorise the Town Mayor to sign the precept.
Oh yes, terribly sign the precept, please.
Second.
Councillor Mayor got in there before everybody.
Jumped in there.
We have a seconded motion to approve the draft budget and authorise the Town Mayor to sign it.
Sure.
Yes. Those in favour?
In favour? Yeah.
Any against? The motion's carried. Mind yourself.
And item 14 is the date and time and venue of the next meeting, which is Tuesday, the 25th of February, here at City Hall, 6:30. Thank you.
Right, we're taking all of this. Yeah. Let's discuss it.
You go in there quick, mate.
Well, that's